Welcome to the Nativo Shalom Shir. Tonight I'm going to do a Torah that we did actually in 4 years ago. And I think it's still very relevant. And we've come out of Mitzraim. We've come through Pesach, and we're freed. We got our freedom from bondage. We got our freedom to be Jews. God took us out of Mitzrayim. What do we do with that? What do we do now? So this particular Torah is called Hamal Es Chameres Mitzrayim. Parsha Shemini is this week's Parsha. And in this week's Parsha, it has all of the laws about kosher food that you can and cannot eat. Kosher food you can eat, kosher food, not kosher food you can't eat. Animals, fish, birds. And after all that, it says, God tells us that he brought us out of Egypt to be our God, and he brought us out to be a holy people. And different than the language that was used before, which was Hotzi eschem eretz Mitzrayim. I brought you out. He used the language used by God in this parsha is Hamala. He raised you up from Eretz Mitzrayim. So the Tivot Shalom is talking about Hamala eschem eretz Mitzrayim, and we're going to talk about what that means. So let's begin. You'll all see the screen share, right? Good. Kiani Hashem, Hamala eschem eretz Mitzrayim, Lios Lachem Elokim. I am God who raised you up from the land of Egypt to be for you a good. V'yosem kadoshim ki kadosh ani. You must be holy, because I, your God, am holy. Of Gemara above Mitzia, it says, Daika my tam sheshininu akosim kan l'shono lomer hamala eschem eretz Mitzrayim shelo shar makomos tiksiv asher seis eschem. The Gemara there asks, why is this change of language? Everybody else is talking about Hotzia Mitzrayim, taking us out. And here it says, raising us up. Rashi Perush, and Rashi explains, Al Kiani Hashem Amala Eschem, the reason that I raised you up is Al Manas, Shetikablu Mitzvosai Alisa Eschem. So you will receive and accept the commandments that I give to you. The Tzorach Bir, he has to understand, he says, Madu Nemar Tanai Zed Davka Kan B'Parshas Machalas Asaros V'lo Shar Mitzvos. Why is this condition mentioned here only with regard to eating prohibited foods and not in accordance to other mitzvos? We have to understand basic things. Bir HaRambam, the explanation of the Ramban, Nachmanides. The mitzvahs kadoshim to you, on the commandment of you should be holy. Shinyanu lakadesh asma mutar, as we said many times, this means to make yourself holy with those things that are permitted to you. She'achar shekosva Torah as called v'rem. After the Torah wrote out all the prohibited things, hosifu od shelo yeh b'dvorim hamutorim navo b'shus Torah. You shouldn't be with those things that are permitted to you, a disgusting person within the confines of Torah. In other words, you're keeping the Torah, you're not violating the Torah. What you're doing is not against the Torah, but it's against the spirit of the Torah. V'zeo bir, and this is the explanation, Gam Mashit Sivsa Torah Kan, B'siyum Parsha Machalas Asaros. This is the explanation of why at the end of this parsha of talking about the permitted foods and non-permitted foods, you should be holy. Meaning you should be holy with those things that are prohibited, that are permitted. You should be holy with those things that are permitted to you. All of your eating should be in holiness and in purity, not like uh, the English word escape, a glutton. Don't eat like a glutton. Just eat the food because, oh, it just tastes so great. You don't have any consideration of what you're doing in eating this food, that you could be fulfilling a great mitzvah. Al pizeh yesh lomar haperush, and in this we understand what it says. Ki ani Hashem hamala es chameres Mitzrayim ve'os lechem Elokim, shall manas came because of this. Otzeis yeschem musav al mitzvos v'yisim kadoshim ki kadosh Hashem. I took you out of there and surrounded you with mitzvahs, with commandments, so that you would be holy, and you would be holy to God. The commandments make you holy. Mitzrayim, Mitzrayim, the Exodus from Egypt had two different parts. The first one, getting out of the evil, society that was in Egypt. Egypt was the most defiled place in the world. Children of Israel in Egypt were at the lowest possible level. There are 40, there are 50 gates of tuma, of negativity, each one greater than the next. And Bnei Israel had fallen to the 49th level. And if they'd gone to the 50th, there'd be no way of getting out of there. So they were at the 49th level, and the God took us out of there. So that was the first thing, getting us out of that evil scenery, getting us out of that climate. And the second aspect of getting out of Egypt, Lios Lechem Elokim, that you would be, that God would be the God to you, to people who he's taking out, to the Jewish people. At that point, we were chosen to be the chosen people by God. To come to the second level, to become the chosen people. What brings you to that level? The preparation for that is to recognize that God is holy, and therefore we should be holy. Hadas should be Arnab Bakamacher, Al Klaus Golos Mitzraim. This is another place about the exile in Egypt. So Kadosh Baruch Hu Avram, God said to Avram Avinu, the Bris Beit Besorim, at the Bris Beit Besorim, Yadua Teda, it certainly is known. Ki ger yez aracha be'eretz lo lahem. Your children will be sojourners, will be guests in a land that is not theirs. And they will become slaves and serve them for 400 years. So we have to, it's hard to understand why. Why at the Bris Beit Besorim, when God is talking to Abraham, he's talking what's going to happen in the future, why is he saying that your children have to go into Egypt? Because what have they done wrong? They're not bad people. On the contrary, people who went to Egypt, Hari B'Galus Mitzrayim, Yordu Shivim Nefesh, Kadoshi Elyo, Rosh Mishpacho Shokla Yisrael. 70 holy souls went down to Egypt, the heads of the tribes. Biyotsu, Shlo b'hem pashum pagam. They had nothing wrong with them. They were totally connected to God. The 70 people went down. And nonetheless, out of that 70 grew a nation who were sunken in the 49th level of defilement. V'im Cain, Baal Cain, therefore, Ezu Matorah Haisa Legalus Hazeh. What was the purpose of this exile? Why were we sent to Egypt in the first place? I mean, we weren't sinning, we're just the contrary. So what do we need exile for? Ela Shematorah Shal Galus Mitzrayim Haisa Lahachshir Lazachik Es Yisrael. The whole purpose of going to the exile in Egypt was to, in a sense, make us kosher, make us fitting, and to cleanse us, to cleanse Bnei Israel. Sheyu ruim liot ha'am hanivkor. So they would be ready to accept this title that God was going to bestow upon us of being the chosen nation. Doesn't this happen? So you had to first cleanse yourself of everything, every innermost thought or ability to do something wrong. You had to cleanse yourself of all that people, so that of all that sin, so that you're actually like a new person. You can only get to this level of being an Am Nivchar, a chosen people, by going through all these difficulties. This is what God said to Avram. You should certainly know. If you want your descendants, you want your children to be the chosen people, they can only get there by going through this cleansing, difficult process. There will be strangers in a land not to them. They will serve them, be slaves to them for 400 years. And that was the cleansing process needed. But Parsha when we talk about raising us up, of the God who raised you up from the land of Egypt, there's parts of it. One part in raising us up, first they had to physically bring us out of Egypt. A quick exodus. There's another part of us, redemption from Egypt. I raised you up from the land of Egypt. This raising up was the going out of Egypt brought them to this level of getting closer to Hashem, to be connected, to be the chosen for Hashem. The only condition to reach this level of being the chosen people was to reach the level of being holy to God like God is holy. Lo rak sheyishbeshu midvorim asurim, not just to stay away from those prohibited things that the Torah tells you, elafi midvorim hamutorim, but even those things that are permitted, yukaimu, you should fulfill, as we've said many, many times, kadesh atzmacha b'mashemutra lecha, fulfill this purpose of being the chosen people to God by making everything holy that your hand touches, those things that are permitted to you. As he said before, don't be a novel b'shus Torah. Just because you're keeping the Torah, you can keep it in a very disgusting way. Don't do that. Through that, you come to this level of God has raised you up from the land of Egypt. B'kan hamokom, hayochi, this is the only place, shenichta b'Torah halashon Hamal es Chemeres Mitzrayim, this is the only place in the Torah where this language of Hamala, raising us up from the land of Egypt, is used, and to teach us this aspect and this important lesson of the two-step process of getting out of Egypt, getting out of the evil and becoming holy to God. And the way to become holy to God is by staying away from those, by not staying away, but by dealing with those permitted things in a holy way. The Kodesh Magid has a different interpretation, where he says, "You will be holy because I am holy." Just because God says I'm holy, how does a Jew get to that level? Only through making himself holy through all the things in this world. Only by making everything holy that you're touching, everything has a higher purpose. There's nothing that's a mundane purpose. Only through that will you get to the level of being holy to God as God is holy to you. That's why you say before every mitzvah, we just had the mitzvah to Seder. Asher kiddushah mitzvos mitzvanu alachilas matzah. Asher kiddushah mitzvosav. We have commanded us through the mitzvah. You become holy through the mitzvah. That's the purpose of doing a mitzvah. So every positive mitzvah you're doing, you're making a blessing to that. Asher kiddushah mitzvosav mitzvanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbos. Right? He made us holy by lighting the Shabbos candles. And he says, Kidshanu, making us holy, become holy, who's Miloshin Kedushin. This is like marriage, like holiness in marriage. Amar Chazal al Kiddushin, and sages say about a marriage, Shu Miloshin, the Asr law al Kala Olam. You're making yourselves prohibited through marriage to anybody else in the world. You're making your wife prohibited to anybody else in the world. Kehektish, like something holy, something you declare to be holy. They're unique to this couple. They're prepared only for this couple. Call olam kektish. And the only way you could do that is by making yourselves prohibited to the rest of the world, as if you were dedicated yourself to something, just dedicated something sanctified to the temple, to the base of Mikdash, made it hektish. Kamokain, similarly, Yisrael Eitzah Kadosh Baruch Hu K'v'yachol Haim B'Bchinas Kedushin. Not only when a husband and wife are marrying, but also with relation to our relation of the Jewish people to God. It's in that same level of the holy matrimony. God is telling us that since you are B'ni B'chori Atah, you are my children, my chosen one, that you are prohibited to all the rest of the world. You only can have a relationship with God. In other words, you can't go worshiping Chas v'Shalom idols. You can't go worshiping other supposed gods. Only me. We're not here in this purpose just to derive enjoyment for ourselves. We're here to raise everything up to a higher level. Therefore, you get to the aspect of being united and prepared only for God. To be cleaving to God. Amar Admar Beis Avram Shalem Omar Al Pasuk, he says, he quotes this Pasuk in Bereshis, Mitchi Shalucha La'adoni L'Esav. I'm sending a present to my master, to Esav. This is what Yaakov says when he's confronted with Esav coming at him with 400 men. He's sending him a present. Kol davar shehudi osa he minchas shulcha. Everything a Jew does is a present that is being sent. Im osha krui l'shem shemayim. If whatever you're doing is done for the sake of heaven, hariz a minchas shlucha ladoni. That's you're sending a present to my Lord, meaning not Esav chas v'sholom, but to God. Bimlav, and if not, hariz a minchas shlucha l'Esav chas v'sholom. If you don't have that right intention, all you're doing is sending a present to the wicked Esav. If you sow to avoda, maybe he brings Mishmashikosim a Rambam, Bigros of Ramban, the Nachmanides wrote in his letters, Shideos Adam, Machshavos Osav, Ashkefosav, Tuluyim Bachilaso. Every thought and action of a person, his whole sphere of being, if you will, depend on what he eats. V'chein im ochel b'yishuv hadas, if he's eating with tranquility. V'hu mishom shemachos nepchim ladam. Why is this? Because the food turns into the blood in your body. Hadam hi hayesod v'ashorish lenefesh v'roh. The blood is the foundational ingredient for your body, soul, and spirit. V'shum kach hakol tului b'achila. Everything is dependent on the food. Shim och achila so karui. If you eat properly, ochel v'yishuv hadas, and you're eating with tranquility, hadas b'chol derechecha de'ehu, fulfilling the sentence, you should walk in all my paths. As called de'yosav achshavosov kadoshim v'torim, then all of your thoughts become holy and pure. And if you don't, chas v'sholom, eat for the service of God, do these things for the service of God, but only as a glutton, mashpiyazos al damo, it has an effect on your blood as well. But instead of a good effect, gorlo deos makshavos psulos, it causes bad thoughts and bad actions. We have Baal Shem Tov HaKodesh, and the Holy Baal Shem Tov says, Isa al Pasuk, he says, until David Melech says, Re'evim gam tzumeim, I am hungry and I'm also thirsty. Nafshim rem tisatev, my soul is covering you. Nafsham, their soul covers you. Shema Pasuk hazeh, yesh sod gadol v'nor, there's a very great and fearful secret for this sentence. So the Torah goes on to explain the Shema Baruch Kadosh Baruch has Tavas Achila. Why did God create this desire to eat? Every Jew has holy sparks. Hasheichim Hey love, shetavkidu lahalosam l'kedusha. The Baal Shem Tov tells us, he explains that there are holy sparks of neshamas floating all around us. In fact, he even said, if you go to a place you've never been before, try to make a bracha. Every time you make a bracha, you're raising up this holy sparks. The same when you're eating. You're raising them by doing something holy, fulfilling God's word. You are, in fact, raising them up to a level of holiness. V'zeh sheba nefesh adam. This is why a person, he's hungry and he's thirsty. He's hungry and thirsty because these holy sparks, these holy neshamas, want to be raised up. Shebetoch hamachal atufa neshama she'olav letaken bachiloso. So while he's eating, he's covered with this holy spark of a neshama, this holy neshama that wants to be metaken, wants to raise up out of the dirt through your eating. Amor Nadra b'veis Avram Chishon Oy Mesaper b'Parsha Zu. He used to tell the story in this parsha, Mera Kodesh Rav Shmuel B'Kaminka, that Rav Shmuel B'Kaminka said, Sha'etzlo Pam Ani Rav Ma'od. He once had before him a poor person who was really hungry. V'kashvi Gishalo Lechol Mana Gadola Shel Tarnagol. When the poor person went to grab a large piece of the rooster, of the chicken, Chataf Begodol Rabbono es Ochel Bochel Karas, and he grabbed this great piece and he ate just like a glutton because of his hunger. Lokach Rab Shmuel Zosmer and Rab Shmuel Bekimenaka took this piece of meat from him. Marmalade, he said, he told him the sentence from Yirmiyahu, Oror HaGever, which translates as the person is cursed, Asher Yiftach Ba'adam, who trusts in man, V'sham Basar Zero, and V'sham Basar Zero, and he eats the blood of his flesh. Gever, who targol. The word gever can also be translated not only as man, but as refers to the chicken. But targol is tabuna neshama gavoa chitzori chalosa. This particular chicken that you're eating, hard concept. That this chicken contains a soul, a spark that's waiting to be lifted up. Because we know that there are many holy souls, sparks, all over. Maybe they're sparks that are contained from a previous life. Maybe they came back as a different thing. Maybe they came back as an animal. And then when you're eating these things, you are raising them up. When you're eating them with kedusha, you're raising them up and you're making a tikkun for them to get them out of that state, to get them to a higher state. Sof, Sham Basar Zero, Ochel L'Shem Basar. It says, just don't eat to be eating it as meat, but eat it to raise up, to make it holy. V'shemati Mamar Zel Amor Zal Shimon Admor Bal Divrei Shmuel, who's claiming Tzaik Pam B'Yom Kippurim. He was crying out on Yom Kippur, on Erev Yom Kippur. Me'es neshamos. We're eating souls. Me'trink neshamos. We're drinking souls. V'tarf oif mitrat oif nishmos. We're walking on neshamos. As we're being surrounded with the ability to raise up these holy sparks. We drink neshamos. We're drinking the neshamos, the souls. Mitrat oif neshamos. We're walking on them. Imki elu inyonim ramim bioter. These things give us the opportunity to raise something higher than high, highest of the highest. Torah Kodesh Hare Shaychus L'cha Yehudi. The Torah is available to every Jew Lefi Orko, according to his worth. And this inyan is fitting for every single person. V'chol dor, in every generation. Chayav Adam Liros Atzmo Ki Hu Yatz Mitzrayim. We've just said this at the Seder, and we say it every day. We have to remember, and we have to look at ourselves as if not our ancestors came out of Mitzrayim, but we ourselves came out of Egypt. These two things we discussed that are part of Yetzias Mitzrayim, hara, to go out of evil, that's which brought us to be the chosen nation. Every year there is awakening of the point that we are the chosen people, and specifically at Pesach time, at Passover. Amarumas b'kasuv ki ani Hashem amal eschem eretz Yisrael. It's hinted out, and we say, I am Lord your God who raised you up out of the land of Egypt. Sha'akavana l'zahi ka'amar al manas v'yisim kadoshim kadosh ani. The whole purpose of raising you out of Egypt was so that you will become holy, because I your Lord, am holy. Amor Admor b'veis Avram zechzilein Amar al apostle v'skadashtem v'yisim kadoshim. I will make you holy and you will be holy. Shinyanu aldas mamar olam. It's what the world says. Eich niyam shikr. How do you become a drunk? How do you get drunk? Shosim kos achas v'od kos. Ashniyam shikr. You drink another glass of alcohol, and another glass, until you finally become drunk. Kach, similarly, you will be, I am holy and you will be holy. How do you become holy? Similarly, how does a person of flesh and blood become holy? You should one time follow what it says, make yourself holy with that which is permitted to you. And after that, od v'od, Kaddish atzva vashbutahu, Kaddish atzva matshbutalo. Over and over, repeating that with everything that you're doing. I'm doing this to make myself holy with that which is permitted. Ad shniya kadosh, until eventually you become holy. And this is what happened with the search for chametz. And the chametz we also know is a leaven product, is a synonym for evil, for the Yetzer Hara. Shu achana lebechinas ki ani Hashem amal eschem eretz Mitzrayim. It's a preparation. It's a preparation for getting to the point where you understand this is God who raised me up from Egypt, lios aham hanivchar, to be the chosen people. So that's where we go. We've got this newfound freedom, and we have the opportunity to do with this freedom that God gave us by taking us out of Egypt, to raise it up to a higher level and to raise us up to a higher level. I just want to end with one thing that is not in the Netivot Shalom, but which we just read in the Torah this past Shabbos in the Parsha of Shira, and it's contained in the Shira. It says, B'nai Yisrael holchim b'yabash b'soch hayam. The children of Israel walked on dry land in the midst of the sea. And the question was asked by terrible how a name can escape you. It'll come to me in a minute. The question was asked by a great tzaddik, why does it say that God brought the Jewish people who were walking on dry land in the midst of the sea? So it should have said, Bnei Israel holchim bayam bayabasha. Should have said they were walking in the sea on the dry land. Why so? Why does it say that? It says they're walking. Instead, it says they were walking on the dry land in the sea. He says it teaches a very important principle that just as when we're in the middle of the waters, God did miracles for us, brought us safely through, dried out the land. It's no different whether you're in the middle of the actual sea or if you're walking on dry land. Because even when we're walking on dry land, there's a sea around us that wants to destroy us. And God is always doing miracles and making us walk on the dry land in the midst of all these seas of troubles. Rabbi Elimelech of Lezhensk said that. And I think that's a very important message that we can take from Pesach, not just as few days after Pesach, but all year round. All year round. Recognize that everything that's going around us is a miracle. You think these are all things of nature? No. Everything that happens is a miracle. We're literally walking in the sea, or we're walking on dry land because God is there with us. Anyway, that's the end of this shir by Nativot Shalom. And I'm going to turn the recording off so anybody can ask any questions or make any comments. And I wish everybody a wonderful week ahead.